and welcome back. Today I will be talking about all the books that are coming out in March. The first book I want to talk about is actually written by the actress and director Krysten Ritter. I had no idea that she's also an author, and this is already her second book. And if the name doesn't ring a bell, I'm sure you remember her from her roles in Veronica Mars, Breaking Bad, and one of my personal favorites, The Bee in Apartment 23, and most recently a spin-off for the Orphan Black TV show, and a lot of other things. So I really like Krysten Ritter as an actress, and the best part of this book is that not only is it a thriller, which is my favorite genre, it's also about a con artist, which is one of my favorite tropes. Her book is coming out on March 25th. So what I'm reading here is that there is a wealthy woman called Isabel, and Liz, the con artist, is actually being mistaken for Isabel, so then Liz is slipping into that socialite's identity. And then it goes on to say, as Liz insinuates herself deeper into the dazzling and deceptive world of the Punta Mita resort community, she draws closer to the danger surrounding the real Isabel. This might not be the con of her life, but the con that ends it. I mean, I'm hooked, and I'm definitely going to be putting this on my TBR. And then next up we have the fifth book in the Finlay Donovan series, and I have read the first two books. I have just gotten the third one for my birthday, but I was completely out of the loop with Finlay Donovan. I had no idea there's actually a fifth book coming out, so that just shows you that the series is obviously going well. And if you don't know anything about Finlay Donovan, Finlay is a mother and an author, and one day she's meeting up with her agent in a Panera, and they're talking about her book, and the book is about murder. There's a person that's also sitting close by in that Panera, and as Finlay and her agent talk about her book, the woman that's overhearing them is passing her a note, and she wants Finlay to kill someone for her. And I devoured the first book in a matter of days. The second book was great too. It's a really great story. It's funny, it has a little bit of romance in it, but in the end it's also a mystery. So if that sounds something you're interested in, then I would definitely recommend you start this series. This one here is about Finlay and her nanny, and they really don't want to get involved in another murder case. But yeah, first of all, I need to read book number 3 and 4, and then I can read this one as well. This one is coming out on March 4th. And then next up we have You Killed Me First by John Mars. And every time I see John Mars writes a new book, I'm immediately adding it to my TBR because I know it's going to be either a 4 or 5 stars read for me. All the books that I've read by John Mars before are always great. They're page turners, you won't be able to put them down, so I'm sure it will be the case with this book as well. This comes out on March 4th as well, and it's saying, a woman awakens to a nightmare. Bound and gagged, she lies trapped in the heart of a towering bonfire. As the smoke thickens, panic sets in. She's moments away from being engulfed in flames. How did it come to this? Rewind 11 months. Margot, a faded TV star, and her long-suffering friend Anna watch as glamorous Liv and her flawless family move into their street. The three women soon fabricate the perfect pretense of friendship, but each harbors her own deadly secret. And newcomer Liv senses something is terribly wrong beneath the polished exteriors. Bonfire night is approaching and someone is set to burn. But who will it be? It sounds extremely interesting. It's John Mars. I'm definitely going to read it. And then next up we have The Dream Hotel. This is also coming out on March 4th. And when I read the summary for this book, I was immediately interested because it sounds like something that I haven't read before. This is a dystopian setting, and there is an agency that is using people's dream data to figure out if they're going to commit a crime. And the summary says, Sarah has just landed at LAX, returning home from a conference abroad when agents from the Risk Assessment Administration pull her aside and inform her that she will soon commit a crime. Using data from her dreams, the RAA's algorithm has determined that she is at imminent risk of harming the person she loves most, her husband. For his safety, she must be kept under observation for 21 days. I think this could be a really interesting read. And then next up we have We Were Warned, which is also coming out on March 4th. And this is a YA mystery, and it says, everyone knows the legend of Fairport Village. 25 years ago, a shocking murder closed the place down. This year, the ruins will be bulldozed at last, but tonight, it's not too late to die. And here it's talking about that anyone who sets foot on this beach resort property is cursed to die. And then this follows a group of teenagers partying at these ruins, and of course someone else dies, and now they're all being followed by a stranger. Yeah, it sounds like a good premise for horror young adult mystery, so I'll be checking it out. Then we have a book release that I had no idea would be coming out, and that is another book in the Hunger Games series, Sunrise on the Reaping. And I had read the first 3 Hunger Games books when they first came out. I loved it, loved the movies, but then I never really got around to reading the other books, which are, I think, prequels to the story. And as far as I can tell, this is also going to be a prequel to it because it's following Haymitch when he was in the Hunger Games. So this is about Haymitch being selected in the Hunger Games, and he's being shuttled to the Capitol with 3 others from District 12, and of course he's heartbroken, he doesn't want to be there, but it's saying there's something in him that wants to fight and have that fight reverberate far beyond the deadly arena. So yeah, if you're a fan of the Hunger Games, I would definitely check this out. And this is coming out on March 18th. And the next book we have is Serial Killer Support Group, and this is coming out on March 18th. And this is talking about a woman's younger sister was murdered by a serial killer, and she knows that the cops are not going to do anything, so she takes matters into her own hands and joins a support group for serial killers. I think it's a super interesting premise, and I'll be adding it to my TBR. Next up we have Witness 8, and that is coming out on March 25th. And this is by the same author that recently wrote Kill for Me, Kill for You. I have heard so many good things about it. I actually have it on hold at my library right now, and I'm still waiting for that to become available, so I can't wait to read that. But this book actually is also part of a series, if I see this right, the Eddie Flynn series. And this says, a former resident of the ultra-elite Manhattan upper class works as a maid in the type of houses she used to live in. Unassuming, she sees everyone's dirty secrets from the inside of their beautiful renovated brownstones. But when Ruby witnesses a murder, she has wicked plans in mind that don't involve telling the authorities the truth. And so this is saying that Eddie Flynn, who is taking on this case as a defense attorney, used to be a con artist. So that's what drew me into this, because as you've heard earlier today, I love con artist stories. So you bet I'll be checking that out. But maybe I should actually start with number 1 in this series. So maybe I'll check out that first. Next up we have This Book Will Bury Me. This comes out on March 25th. This is by the same author that wrote In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Have not read that yet, unfortunately, but I've heard very, very, very good things about it. And this is saying, after the unexpected death of her father, college student Jane Sharp longs for a distraction from her grief. She becomes obsessed with true crime, befriending armchair detectives who teach her how to hunt killers from afar. In this morbid internet underground, Jane finds friendship, purpose, and even glory. This sounds like a fun little detective story, so I'll be sure to check it out. And then the last book I have is I Would Die for You. And this book was written by the same author who also wrote The Other Woman. And I've read that book. I don't remember if I gave it 3 or 4 stars. It was a while ago, but I do remember I didn't hate it, so I am curious to see how this book is. And this is set in 2 timelines and also 2 different locations. One is in California in 2011, and the other one is London in 1986. And the summary for the California timeline says, Nicole Forbes lives a quiet life in the small seaside town of Coronado with her husband and her daughter. She's not expecting a writer to knock on her door asking for a personal insight into the downfall of the biggest British band of the 1980s, unveiling the threads of a life she left behind years ago. The same day, her daughter goes missing and the school claims her aunt picked her up, but she doesn't have an aunt. Convinced of a link between the two, Nicole is forced to revisit long abandoned memories from her past to protect everything she now holds dear. And then the summary for the second timeline says, 16-year-old Cassie is obsessed with Secret October, the hottest band of the moment. Harboring an intense crush on the leading man, Ben Edwards, she will do anything she can to capture his attention among the throngs of groupies that the band's scandalous backstage parties. But when Ben discovers her older sister Nicole singing at a local bar one night, he can't help but feel drawn to her, setting in motion a collision course that could tear their family apart. And I like books that have multiple timelines that become more and more intertwined as you read on, and this is obviously also a mystery or a thriller, and I think this could be a fun time. So there you have it. Those are all the books that are coming out in March that I thought could be interesting. Let me know if there are any other books that sound interesting, and if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.